Okay, this is our walkthrough of PSPP. If you are using SPSS, it's going to look pretty similar. So first of all, let me just tell you that I am not a Mac user. I've been using Macs for all of the videos, but it's not my strong point, so hopefully this will come out all right, but bear with me if I'm a little bit slow. So this is what PSPP should look like whether you're using a Mac or a PC, and it should also be pretty similar. It's pretty similar to SPSS in case you're able to be on campus. So two things to note, or one big thing to note, is that there's these tabs on the bottom. There's data view and there's variable view. And right now I have it open to data view, which should look it looks a lot like an Excel spreadsheet, right? So at the top is the name of our variable, and then those are the actual scores for the variables. So each column represents a variable, and each row represents a respondent. Right? So for example, this person 1, their length of commute is 15 minutes, and their social satisfaction is neutral. It's in the middle. Okay? So then there's the variable view, which is different from Excel. Okay? And this shows us the name of the variable, the label, which in our case matches with the actual survey question. Make this a little bit bigger. Also provides what's called value labels. So a 0 is male, a 1 is female, a 2 is other in the case of gender. And that's how I had to create this. That's how I created that code book, which you should have already looked at. So I want to let you know, give you a walkthrough of how to do all the commands that are in the activity. So I recommend, if it's possible for you, to watch this video while you also have the activity worksheet open, AA number 8, so you can follow along. So questions 1, 2, and 3, you should be able to answer just by kind of looking at the data view and the variable view screens. So I'm going to start with question 4. So I've highlighted in yellow the how-to. Okay, so how to get PSPP to produce a frequency table. So you go up to Analyze, you go Descriptive Statistics, and you press Frequencies. Okay. So I'm actually not going to do this one. So these are all the variables. In this case, they're listed as the labels. There is a way to get it to show you the variable names, but I'm not sure how to do that. But let's just look at this. Let's do a frequency tab of Are You a Student? Okay, so we click on Are You a Student? We put it in this variable box. We're not going to pay attention to this for now. And we press OK. Now, very important, you have to go to what's called the output window in order to see what's going on. And you have to scroll to the bottom. Okay. So it created a frequency table. Are you a student? No. Yes, full-time. Yes, part-time. In our sample, 58 people said no. It's giving you the percent and the valid percent. I would like you to report the valid percent because the valid percent is excluding those people that are missing. So we're only interested of the people that gave an answer, what percentage of them said no, for example. Okay, so that's it. That's a frequency table. So this is giving us a bit more information, and then I want you to fill out the table that's a little bit simplified. Okay. So next, we move on to question 6, how to get PSPP to produce descriptive statistics. So we go back to our other window. We click Analyze. We click Descriptive Statistics again. We're going to actually click Frequencies again. I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to choose another variable. I'm going to choose how often do you get together with family members? Family 2. And I want it to give me the mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, mode, and median. So I checked all of these things. I press OK. I go to the output window. I scroll down. And first of all, it gives us a frequency table again, but for now we're focusing on this. Okay. But keep in mind it's an ordinal variable, so the mean doesn't really mean anything. I know it sounds strange. What is 1.98? It's somewhere between every day and most days. That's actually not a meaningful thing. But the mode is 1, so then you would check the code book and see, what does a mode of 1 mean? What's the actual answer? And then at the very bottom it gives you the median. What's that middlemost person? What answer did they give? They gave a 2. And then you would look up in the code book, what is a 2? What does that mean? You can either look it up in the code book, or if you can figure it out, you can figure out how PSPP can tell you from the variable view page. So next, for question 7, a little more complicated, you are comparing means, which is something called an independent sample t-test in this case. Okay, so let's do, just move this down, let's do, we're interested in how often do people eat out, and does that vary by gender? So let me reset this and show you how I got here. So, it's this one. In a typical week, how often do you eat out with friends? And let's see if that varies by gender. So the next thing we need to do is click on the Define Groups. And you actually choose, so in this case we have gender as male, female, and other, but we're just interested in comparing male and female, especially because very few people in our sample said other. Okay. Click OK, and also for this type of test you can only have 2 groups. Once again we go back to output, we scroll down, and I know it's a lot of information, but what I want you to focus on reporting is this at the top. How many what's the sample size in each of these categories? So the mean answer, males in our sample on average go out to eat once, 1.06 times per week. And females in our sample, the mean is a little bit higher, 1.20, but we also see these differences in the standard deviation. So if you look at the activity, you're going to interpret those things. Next, for question 9, we're going to produce a cross-tabulation. So we go to Analyze, we go back to Descriptive Statistics, we go to Crosstabs, and here I'm interested in student status and social media accounts. So I do that, the row and the column, I press OK, we go to my output, and I know this again is a lot of information on here. It's like a whole bunch of numbers, but what I want you to focus on is just these, how many people, right? So there were 2 people who said, no, I'm not a student and I have 0 social media accounts. There were 32 people who said, no, I'm not a student and I have 1 to 2 social media accounts. There were, if we go down here, there were 7 people who were part-time students who have 3 to 4 accounts. Try your best to fill in this one. And then the last one that I'm going to show you is how to produce a correlation table. And again, I hope you view the other videos so that this will make more sense to you. So, we go to Analyze, we go to Bivariate Correlation, and we choose interval ratio or ordinal variables. Otherwise, it won't make sense. And yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. So we got an output, scroll down. Okay. So this should look, again, it's kind of a lot of information, but this should look somewhat familiar to what was in the other video, because you see this 1, 1, 1. So there's that diagonal line. 0.73 is the same, 0.73 is the same. Okay. So let's take a look at a couple of these. The correlation between how many people live in your household and how many children live in your household. That's a pretty big correlation. That makes sense. Right? Those who have more kids in their household tend to have more people overall. And that's positive. If we take a look down here, there's a negative correlation. There's a negative correlation between social satisfaction and length of commute. All right? But when you produce it, you're going to produce one that's much bigger, and you choose which ones you're interested in interpreting. And then the final question, or the final kind of group of questions, is 14, question number 14. And that's where you get to choose a couple of variables that interest you and try to rerun some of these analyses on your own.